Do you guys watch Bluey?
Yeah, I watch Bluey. Of course I watch Bluey.
I've never sat and watched it. In other words, I sit and I watch it, but I don't like pay attention. And I've been paying attention. It is the best show on TV.
It's one of the best shows.
They had the best scene on one of the episodes last night. They're just on their phones. It was awesome. I was like, that is the most realistic thing. Oh, yeah. It's just great. No, I just shout out Bluey. Thank you for keeping my house sane. And me. Keeps me off my phone too. I actually watch it. It's like the one show I put my phone down. I'm like, oh, that's parenting. Welcome into Scoop City. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played in the NFL for 14 years.
All right, so we're trying to grow this thing. Subscribe to us. Check us out over on YouTube. Of course, if you're listening to us, thanks for hanging out. Subscribe there. Our video, we officially hit 10,000 subscribers. I know last show we weren't too sure. We did it.
We did it.
If you told me a few months ago that we'd get to 10,000 already, I would not have believed that.
Quick.
So let's just
We've had some big videos too.
Yeah,
like the Andy Reid one has over 100,000 views. Like it's been awesome. You guys are awesome. We read all the comments.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley one did really well. Sean Payton.
The interviews,
we've had a couple.
for sure.
So go check those out if you haven't. There's some really good stuff in there. Some good conversations, not just specific to the exact moment of the season. So it is all there. You can watch it on your TV too. Just go to your YouTube app, which is kind of how I've been watching a lot of this stuff. So here we are. We are just a few days out from free agency, and I feel like it started already, right? Because we know this time of year, a lot of teams are extending players that they want to keep. Obviously, we saw Philadelphia sign Zach Bond back. Yep. That shocked me. I got to tell you.
You were a big believer that they probably weren't going to be able to afford him.
Because I knew his market was big.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of teams in on him, and he was asking for a lot. But they were able to bring him home and keep him happy and still pay him really well.
Yeah.
Look, of course, it's free agency. He probably could have gotten more money.
17 a year, though, is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It's at some point, it's like, okay, we can do this. Obviously, we mentioned Saquon here. He got this incredible new deal. Maxx Crosby, all this great. This is actually celebratory things that you're just so happy for these players getting their money.
They earned it.
As we're about to enter just really what I think is just going to be, it's kind of hell, actually, over the next few days of just keeping track, because news is flying right now. Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Because yesterday, or last episode, how's it going? Good so far?
Thank you for asking. We're doing all right. We're holding it down. We're going to fight through this thing. We're going to get through free agency healthy. No one's going to get a bug. We're not getting the flu in this house because we can't afford it because we got work to do. So let's get right to it. I want to share with you everything I'm hearing around the league. How you doing with that coffee, by the way? Still trying to avoid it?
Hell no. One a day.
I know. We talk about coffee on the show a lot, but do you know where the absolute best coffee I've ever had is? Which city?
Hawaii.
Seattle, Washington. The best. When I lived there was nothing better than that morning coffee I would get at one of those places. So let's start there, actually. Why don't we start in Seattle with one of the big stories around the league, which is DK Metcalf has requested a trade. Multiple teams are interested. Multiple teams have reached out to the Seahawks. Asking price, a first and third round pick now. I
saw you break that this morning. Holy cow. Like, what? That's a lot.
No, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Do I think Seattle knows that's a lot? Absolutely. But they're doing the right thing, right? There's a lot of very desperate teams right now that would love to have DK on their team. And I think this was a way of just trying to bargain and get the best deal they could get. So do I think he'll be traded? Possibly. Do I think that will be the price? No. They're going to come down on that eventually here as teams that were interested, or at least are interested, have already said, yeah, we're not doing that. So we'll see them maneuver a little bit here. He wants a new deal, right? So he wants about 30 a year.
See, that's a lot to me for DK. Like I like DK, obviously, like he is the number one in Seattle, Jackson Smith and Jigba. We don't talk a lot about Seattle on this, but I love their team when they had those three and Tyler Lockett. Gino's still playing at a decently high level. But to say that a team is going to give up a 1 and a 3 and pay you a $30 million deal, I would say you're crazy if all three of those things happen, because I just don't.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't see it, and I don't know if any other teams see DK as a $30 million guy.
Especially teams that have called, right? So we know that the Chargers, the Patriots, the Raiders, the Steelers, these are the big teams that are searching for receivers in this market right now. That is not what they're signing up for, though. That is not the price that they would be looking to pay. The Chargers make the most sense, in my opinion.
Great. I agree, 100%.
Also based on what DK wants. DK wants to play in a warm weather environment. That's important.
Not rain.
Not rain. Yeah, I know. Tell me you've been living in Seattle too long.
Yeah, and of all those teams you said, it's the most elite quarterback, I would say.
I know. It actually works out well that the warm weather quarterback also happens to be Justin Herbert. Which, by the way, when I lived in Seattle, beautiful. Sun out all the time.
What?
Never dealt with rain. Is that crazy?
Every time I've been there, it's been depressing. Love Seattle, actually.
Seattle.
I love the San Juan Islands. We go up to the San Juan Islands. We went whale watching there. We spent many summers up there. Actually, many. We spent 2, but that's many.
Feels like a lot,
it's beautiful up there, but it's always like rainy, and I couldn't do it.
I didn't experience it. So, whenever people ask me about my time when I lived there, I started my sports career
I
there.
didn't even know you lived there.
Yeah, I know. It was a quick hop, a skip, and a jump. And that was a time in my life I never even left.
Hey, you got a saying right. Hop, skip, and a jump.
No, that wasn't right in that. No, that actually wasn't right.
Yes, it
a
was.
Hop,
It's
skip,
quick.
and a jump means it's
quick.
close.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah, but I don't think it was in the right sense. So shout out to the people who know how bad we are at these. Tell me what I meant to say. It was a flash in a pan. It was something quick. I was only there for like a year and a half. It was a... No. Somebody will tell us.
Tell me why this, though. I have a question before you continue. Yep. Why in the world are the Seahawks seemingly getting rid of their 2 best receivers, like Lockett and DK? Let's
just start with Lockett. He's getting older. We're aware of that. And then you take a look at Metcalf's cap hit, $31.8 million. That's the highest among receivers in football right now. So he's costing them a lot of money, and then to have to re-up him again. This is obviously a team that thinks that they can go younger and cheaper. And
wow. I mean, JSN is great, but he has not shown that he can handle being a true number 1 receiver. I think he's got the traits for it, but that brings me to 2, and I know we weren't even supposed to talk about this. I'm going to put you on the spot. What are they doing with quarterback? Because I've heard some swirling rumors of Geno. Is Geno going to be back? Do they still trust in Geno? He's played well. Through his year and 10 years there, but what's the deal with that?
So obviously, the veteran quarterback market right now is it's bizarre is actually how I describe it right now, because everyone is sort of waiting for one of these dominoes to fall to kind of figure out which direction they want to go in. I don't get the sense right now, and this could change as this thing heats up. I don't get the sense that the Seahawks are in on any specific quarterback that's a free agent here. So that tells me Geno is they're fine going with Geno moving forward. And I haven't heard anything, even when I was in Indy, that this is a Seahawks team looking to move away from him. So those dominoes, which we'll get into that in a second here.
Where do you see like teams ranking those guys? Let's not even get into money right now, but if you were a team and you had your pick of those guys, like what are the top 2 or 3 guys that you're going to be looking at come this next week?
Well,
it's got to be Devontae, right?
No. Chris Godwin.
Oh.
Chris Godwin.
Okay.
That is the most sought after free agent that I'm hearing about right now.
Juicy. Let's go.
And I know he's coming off the injury, but everything else about Chris Godwin is incredible. And teams know this. The Bucs know this, which is why the Bucs are trying to sign him up. They do not want to lose him. And I'm curious. I don't know if this is going to be the case, if this is going to be like a Mike Evans situation. Remember, Mike Evans was like, I'm going to go test the free agency. And then the night before free agency, he signed an extension with the Tampa Bay Bucs. Apparently, when you go to Tampa, you don't want to leave. People love it there, and I get it.
No state income tax.
Yeah, no state income tax. It's warm. Tampa's a cool city.
I will say
Chris
Godwin was, arguably off to the best. Not arguably, he was off to the best start of his any season in his career last year before he got hurt. He was leading the league in almost every major category. He was on pace for records in receiving touchdowns, receiving yards, and everything like that. So especially if pair him up with with Mike Evans. I mean, that makes a lot of sense in the world. But
Yeah.
he is going to have a market, though, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Do you think he touches now let's talk money, because he's the top, and then it's everyone else. Do you think he touches 28, 29 a year? Like, do you think it gets to that? Because it's like, it just seems like this market is moving up.
I think it does, and it's only because of this time of year. And it's
Gotcha.
because you've got teams that
have a lot of
that
money,
have
like
money
the New
to
England
spend.
Patriots.
The Pats got buckets of cash. And I think in some cases, I'm usually against crazy spending. But if you know as an organization that you have to overspend to get some good players in, you got to be able to swallow that and just eat it for right now, because that they can't change it, right? They can't change that this isn't the strongest free agent class. They can't change that this isn't the strongest draft class. They've got to fill a roster here.
Great.
It's just not like it's not a great year for the Patriots to be so rich.
Yeah,
you know,
that's actually such a good point,
right? Like
because they got their quarterback. They don't need a quarterback,
right?
And there's only a couple offensive linemen that are legit in free agency.
Yeah. So they got their quarterback while many teams are trying to figure out who's going to be their quarterback. And, you know, you've got the Raiders, the Giants, you've got the Colts fishing around to sort of figure out which direction they're going to go in, because they need it, right? And it's just going back to the Stafford situation, right? We knew that the Giants and the Raiders, they were in. They thought they were getting him. So now they've pivoted. And you've got the Giants lined up with Aaron Rodgers, which, by the way, it's not just Aaron Rodgers. Just like any quarterback-hungry team right now, you've got to line out to every veteran quarterback. Like, name one in the market, the Giants have reached out.
Oh,
the
wow.
Raiders have reached out. Like, you have to.
Who would the Giants prefer, though? Like,
I don't
number
know.
one choice, draft or Rodgers?
I would think Rodgers at this point.
Wow.
I still think they can do both, though. I don't think it's
true.
one or the other.
Yeah.
I think it's Rodgers and let's go get a young guy.
Do you think if it's Rodgers, do you think they move up to 1, or do you think they stick at 3 if they get Rodgers, or do you think it matters?
I think it depends on what the Titans want to do.
Gotcha.
If the Titans are willing to trade out,
Yeah.
then I think the Giants are still going to try to do it.
Gotcha.
But we'll see what the Titans will do. I'm hearing different things every day. I
Yeah, that's what I
still
was gonna say.
believe
What
they're
do
going to
you-
trade out. I still believe.
It makes the most sense, especially if it's
I
to
know.
the Giants. I know we're not talking about, but like if you're the Titans, and there's only 2 generational players, in my opinion, in this draft: Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, not even including the quarterbacks. You move back 2 spots to 3, you gain a lot of trade compensation, and the person going up to 1's probably getting a quarterback. You're still going to have your choice of either Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or a quarterback at 3. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk these quarterbacks from outside the Giants, the Raiders, right? I mean,
What are they doing?
let them know, because we don't know, right? So I mentioned Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Jameis Winston, Zach Wilson. You've got a bunch of guys available. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator, right? We think of Chip. We obviously think UCLA right now, Ohio State, spread offense.
Yeah, spread.
You know, he brought the no huddle to the NFL, as we saw. We remember Marcus Mariota, Oregon, all that, everything. So who fits that, right? That they're not doing this from what I know, but why not Daniel Jones in Vegas? Right? He's a mobile, athletic
He's very mobile. He's very athletic.
We'll see what Justin Fields.
That's what I was going to say and ask. If the field situation doesn't work out and he can get more money elsewhere, say the Raiders, because I'm just like spitballing, but like, what about Fields in a actual college style offense, like a Chip Kelly offense? Because quite honestly, as long as you know how I feel about Justin Fields and how we feel about Justin Fields in this show, he was 4-2 as a starter in Pittsburgh. If you can actually give him an offense that fits him, because in his entire career in Chicago and in Pittsburgh, okay, he has played sort of a pro style, drop back style offense. That's not him. Why not build around him and put him in a position to really succeed and have that X factor as his legs be a number 1 threat? The Raiders, to me, and Chip Kelly, give him that option.
All right, well, I like this then, because you just married Justin Fields to the Raiders. Let's set up a couple of marriages.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's go to Daniel Jones then, because I mentioned him. Where would you like to see him? What makes sense for someone who's trying to resurrect their career and has shown ability. We just haven't seen him have an offensive line.
Yeah, no, I agree. He takes a lot of sacks. He definitely is a dual threat type guy, right? I can't imagine him leaving Minnesota. Like there's a reason why Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings stayed with him. Not really necessarily to start. I mean, maybe who knows if Sam Darnold goes elsewhere, right? But I think Daniel Jones has to stay with Kevin O'Connell. We're not sure how JJ McCarthy's going to look. I don't know if it's his best spot to start right away. But in reality, I don't know if you're any team that needs quarterbacks that's going to be reaching out to Daniel Jones to be your starter right away.
Are you now understanding how I'm saying all of this is like one piece affects the other piece that affects the other? Like,
I've lived it my entire 14-year career, in not the starters, but the backup quarterback. It's like a musical chair. It's like, all right, well, we want you and you, but if we can't get you and you go elsewhere, then we got to pivot. But then what if it's so crazy. My agent is like, he doesn't let me know when that was going on, but like there were multiple times in multiple seasons, I thought I was going to Team X, and I'd end up in Team Y with more money. But Team X was a better fit. I'm like, well, let's go there. Like, well, we can't because he actually re-signed this non-restricted free agent. It's just crazy. And there is a lot of that happening in real time. And that's why these teams have these big free agent boards, and they rank their quarterbacks 1, 2, 3. All right, this is who we want at this price. If this price is too rich, then we're going to go to this price. Or it's like, hey, priority free agent. They rank their boards so differently. And the crazy thing about it, Dianna, is every team I've been on 7, almost a quarter of the league. All of them do it completely different than the other. They all have varying techniques. That's what's crazy about it.
Yeah. No, I've always wondered what that's like, because if it's crazy for us to report it, what's it like to be the actual person?
Yeah,
it's a lot of, as you know, because you've now been on the other side of it. We're finding out within seconds of the player knowing. It's not like a couple minutes go by. I mean, I've had free agencies before where I'm on the phone with a player and they literally were like, my agent just texted me.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
It is very, very, like, people are like, oh, your free agency gets done at the combine, right? Where you're not supposed to tamper, but you're like, there's so many deals that get done. Let's just be honest. There's so many deals that get done at the combine. I feel like when there's star players in a really good free agency class, that happens. Then there's always like different phases of free agency, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, right? I feel like this year, especially with the quarterback stuff, teams still don't have their mind made up on some things because they were waiting on Stafford. Once Stafford got done, then I was like, all right, where does everyone else fit? Now it's sort of like Rodgers. If Rodgers doesn't fit with the Giants, I don't know where he fits.
I don't know where he fits either.
And then it's Russell Wilson is next.
It's Sam Darnold's the first one, though.
Yeah.
We need the Sam one needs to look. The sense around the league is Sam's going back to Minnesota.
He's got to be back, right?
That's what most teams think is going to happen there. It's not official. It's not final. It's not like it's agreed upon.
What is the money? That is the biggest thing.
It's a great question, and I've been asking people outside Minnesota to give me an idea of what a Sam Darnold deal looks like, and I've been getting a lot of 2 for $60, 2 for $60 with some upside, and I think that's fair. I think that's smart. I think that's good.
See, I was thinking just without hearing that, and it sort of my way of thinking. It makes me feel a little better that I somewhat know what I'm talking about. I was thinking like to make it look good for Sam, right? Because all these contracts, and we'll do a free agency show, but you guys got to realize that all these contracts and these numbers that these agents are dropping is not the real number. Look at the guaranteed money. That's what you need to look at. So could you sign a 3-year 90? Sam Darnold got $90 million with $60 million guaranteed, technically a 2-year contract. You know what I mean? Like something like that.
What was your biggest fake out? What was your biggest fake out deal? Where it's like, God, that sounded like I made a lot, but it was not.
I would say Detroit. The Detroit contract, it was a really good deal. It was a 3-year, I think it was like $14 million. And I had like 5.5 guaranteed, but it made it sound like it was really good. It was technically like a 1-year, $5 million deal.
Yeah. You are a liar.
Which is great for my agent and for me. But I remember when that contract dropped, because it was COVID year. And I just finished a 2-year, $10 million deal in Chicago. And when people found that out, they're like,
Chase, I
he's
remember
still
this.
worth $5 a year.
Chase,
who is this bum? What are you doing? I'm like, you know what I am?
Where I was. I swear. I remember where I was in my old apartment before I was even married when that story broke. And thinking the same thing. Like,
that
this
is,
guy,
you know what? That is messed up.
I'm like, this guy won't go away. I know, but you were so appreciated and loved in the league, and we loved being around you. And it was just, I just remember thinking, I'm so happy he's still playing. But oh my God.
Yeah. But
Like,
then that's
I've never
exactly,
even seen him play.
No doubt. And I think that was sort of the sentiment, because like when I got because I went back in 2017 after my deal in Philly to the Saints, and I sort of made league minimum for the Saints, but I was getting paid from Philly. And then after that, even me, I was like, I wonder if I'm going to get another like big deal in free agency. And then sure enough, like it was between going back to Kansas City. This is great. I've never talked about this. It was going back to Kansas City, that 2018 offseason with Andy Reid, because they wanted me to be the guy to help usher in the Patrick Mahomes era. That's a fact. But I think the money was like 3.5 a year. And then Chicago had just hired Matt Nagy, who is my quarterback coach. We'll offer you $5 a year, $10 million, pretty much will guarantee it all. I'm like, I got to go with the money. Yeah, but I don't regret it because I got to play a lot. However, the Chiefs went to like 7 straight AFC championship games, so I could have had some Super Bowls in there, but it was the right time for us and right move.
By the way, I had a quick cup of coffee with Matt Nagy in Indy. He's just awesome.
Nags is one of my favorite coaches.
Quick cup of coffee. That's the saying I was looking for. I had a quick cup of coffee in Seattle. That's what I was trying to say. And we were talking about coffee. It was right there.
I know.
All right. Well, I love just hearing all that background on just how this all comes together, because it's such a side that most people don't even know about and think about it. And I think tons of people that have listened to this show have followed along and probably had the same opinion I did when you kept getting awesome deals, and good for you. Right. So we hit Sam Darnold, we hit Daniel Jones, we hit Russell Wilson. Oh no, we didn't hit Russell. Tell me about Russell.
Raiders is, I mean, like, you know, I'm guessing that Fields is probably going to end up, even though I think he should go to the Raiders, with Pittsburgh. I think really the only team that makes sense for him is to go back to the Raiders, right? With Pete, I don't know. Is there any other team showing interest in him? He can still play at a high level. It's just like, for me, the thing with Russ, I don't know if Russ can lead you to a Super Bowl, but I know Russ can play good ball. And so what does that contract look like? 25 million? 30 million? You know, you're sort of paying for what he's done.
Yeah.
And he didn't play well down the stretch, and you don't want to embarrass him, like all that stuff.
I know. It's not as simple. So we'll see if Pittsburgh decides to go to move on from Russell, which I believe they do. I think we've been pretty consistent there, but you never know. The one I want to see, and it's not that I have some like allegiance or connection or I think he's so amazing, but I want to see him have some success in a second round here, is Zach Wilson.
Oh.
What if Zach lands somewhere?
What, like,
and can
okay,
compete,
where?
Right? He's in Denver. The trio is Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix, and Zach together. They're like 3 best friends. I saw them on Instagram.
They were in Cabo
together.
We were with. I was in the meeting room with them.
10s
at training camp.
Yes. Oh yeah. You were around them. You saw how
we saw him up close and personal. Both of us.
I did. Yes. No, I said hi. I know, but I didn't talk to him too much because the whole Jets thing. But either way, I'm curious to see if Sean Payton's going to keep him there, try to bring him back because he likes him a lot, or if Zach is going to go test the market and see what's out there for him.
What? Well, okay, all right.
I'm just saying, like,
as a backup.
Yeah, I'm sure as a backup, but you never know. Like maybe there's a spot for him where, is it a Chip Kelly situation where he'd fit well? Is Zach Wilson the kind of guy Indy would bring? Probably not.
Do you think he's going to get some interest?
I think he will.
He's got good film
Miami
from preseason.
Bring him? The Dolphins?
Oh, with
just trying to think of style of play, what would fit well with a Mike McDaniel. I feel like a Mike McDaniel would be awesome with
Frank
him.
Smith, love that guy down there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a 3. I think he's a 2. I think he's proven that he can be a 2 and play spot duties. So a 2 makes a lot of sense. I just, being with Sean Payton for 5 years, they barely pay their backup. So I can't imagine they're going to pay the 3 good money.
And then you have Jarrett Stidham, who is like the best quarterback insurance on planet Earth
Steady.
because he never plays because the starter stays healthy.
It's exactly like my
Which is
career.
good, right?
I
You should
never
pay
got
him
to
just for
play.
that.
Yeah, I never got to play. Starter always stayed healthy.
There you go. That should be his opening line. So obviously the quarterbacks are going to be the story no matter what. Just always is. But you need those guys to protect the quarterback. And that's the market right now that I'm pretty obsessed with. Because I know that there are teams like the Titans and the Commanders and the Bears who we saw make moves, the Patriots, who are all trying to beef up their O-lines. Right? So
Wait, you just reminded me, the Titans, if they trade out and don't pick a quarterback, what are they doing with their freaking quarterback?
yeah, they're going to... I have a hard time imagining they're going to roll it with Will Levis.
So then if they don't draft a guy in the first round,
Then you have to figure...
who are they signing?
They're going to have to sign one of these guys. That's why, like, everyone's...
Maybe it'll give us an insight into who they sign in free agency on what they're going to do in the draft.
Correct. Which is why I know that they're having meetings right now in Nashville about what they want to do in the draft. Like, they're still deciding. And from what I was told, there are definitely different versions of what they want to do from different people there, which happens. But because you have different situations. You have Brian Callahan, who is wrapping up not a great first year. He's going to need to win. You have a first-time GM, Mike Borgonzi.
Like, dude loves quarterbacks. He's coming from the Andy Reid, Brett Veach. You can imagine he's got a plan. I got a feeling about this guy. I like this guy already.
You just like him because he's connected to the Chiefs?
Duh.
You sound like an owner.
Well, guess what?
Whatever they
The
do there,
Chiefs win.
do here.
Well, it works.
But that's
It
like
ain't the
that's
Patriot
a real
way.
thing.
Doug Peterson won a freaking Super Bowl with it. Matt
Whatever
Nagy
you do
won
there-
Coach of the Year with it.
Where's Doug now?
Yeah, I should probably text him. Honestly,
cool.
he's probably in Louisiana fishing. Chilling.
I was gonna say I've texted him before when he was unemployed before. He was always just like the happiest, enjoying his life.
Chilling.
He'd be
Playing
awesome.
golf. The
So,
Silver
O-line.
Fox.
Ronnie Stanley. He's the stud in the market,
Yep, which we
He's
talked
the
about
guy.
last episode.
right? So the Ravens, we're going to see what they're going to do here. Are they going to try to retain him? Why are they going to let a guy like that go?
Older, 30,
Yeah, but there's not a lot of Ronnie Stanleys around.
Facts.
He had a great year last year. But when you got a team like the Kansas City Chiefs poking around, you know that they made that move
Joe Tooney.
with Joe Tooney and moving on from him and sending him to Chicago because they're making moves, right? They need
Wait,
to
I
make
said
room.
that last episode. Is that really a possibility? Chiefs
Yeah.
for?
Yep, they're in on him.
Let's go. Let's go.
I don't really think it's rocket science. I think anyone with a brain knows that they need to get better on their O-line, and why not one of the best guys on the market?
Here's a question for you. Maybe you don't know the answer. Maybe it's something we dig on. If they do end up with Ronnie Stanley, the Chiefs, I think it'd be awesome. Where does Kingsley Sumatia go? Does he move into guard?
It's coming. No, I believe so. Those conversations are happening at this moment about how they're going to all make this work. It's like you should be a coach, right? So obviously with Chicago, by the way, being involved in that trade, it just tells you what Ben Johnson's doing with the Bears, right? He's like, I'm just going to do what we did in Detroit, which is dominate the trenches.
I love those last two signings for him.
Right?
Oh
Because
my
he's
gosh.
like, now I can call whatever the heck I want to call. That's how I see it. I don't think it's that complicated. It's like, we need to protect Caleb, and I want to be able to be the play caller I want to be.
And a lot of people don't recognize too, quickly about that whole situation is, it's to protect Caleb. Their run game stunk last year, Diana. Those two are legit
100%.
run blockers.
Like-
take some pressure off Caleb. Ben Johnson wants to run the freaking football. And they got a
Exactly.
high price market in free agent that they got last year. DeAndre Swift, he's going to be a big part of this offense.
I love when we can see and understand why people are making decisions that they're making. Because that, to me,
Makes sense.
tells me they're committed to a philosophy.
Yeah.
And it works. And we saw it in the Super Bowl. And we saw it with the Eagles. And it's very similar. And so it's been fun to watch it. Put it this way. Nothing has shocked me with the Bears so far. Like, I'm not like, what? Like, I'm like, makes sense.
No, in fact, it's like sneaky good. Like
they're
sneaky
building.
good
They're-
offseason.
Correct. No, it's awesome. So we'll see what happens in the Ronnie sweepstakes if he even hits free agency. I mentioned Chris Godwin too. That's the other big name that I'll be following, just knowing it's going to be a big one. The other player I'm watching is Dre Greenlaw, right? We know that he had that Achilles injury at the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
49ers got to re-sign him.
I'm interested to see what they're going to do here. I think they want to retain him, but he has a market. Like,
he's an enforcer, man. Like, your defense was so bad last year and got so bad down the stretch. Like, keep him and Fred Warner as one of the best duos in all of football. I know they got to pay Brock Purdy, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Money talks, as you know. I know that there are some teams poking around on that, just like I know there's some teams poking around on Joey Bosa. So the Chargers cut him on Wednesday, and I mean, no one was surprised by that because he carries such a heavy cap hit on on the salary cap for the Chargers as they're trying to clear before we start the new league year. But is there a possibility Joey goes to San Francisco to play with his brother Nick?
I mean, I'd love to
I don't
play
think
with
the
brother.
Niners have a lot of money, but I think if Joey at this point in his life is willing to play on a smaller deal to play with his brother,
I'm all for
problem
it.
is he's only played 51% of the time.
Well, and he's getting older. Play him on third down and some money downs. Like
Exactly.
the
He's a
pass
rotational
rusher,
player.
No doubt.
Exactly.
And that's respectful to him because I was his teammate for 2 years. He's gotten a little bit older, dealt with some injuries. It'll be interesting to see what he gets, like money wise.
What is he like as a teammate?
He's the weirdest dude I've ever met in all the good ways. Like, just so eclectic, I think you would say. And honestly, a really good teammate.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like the Bosas they're kind of all
Just
the
does
same.
stuff his own way.
Yeah, I could
Very
see
nice, though. Very nice guy. Yeah.
Somebody posted that clip of him in Philadelphia. Remember when Nick was playing in the NFC Championship game and he went and they're like yelling at Joey. I watched it like 3 times. I just think he's funny the way he reacted.
He is funny.
Think about the guts it takes to heckle Joey Bosa. Like, Philadelphia, you're insane. Like, I would not say a word in front of someone like that. Not only because he's gigantic, but just he's a beast of a human being. He destroys guys on the field. So look, this thing's gonna heat up this weekend. Don't even text me because so much stuff just really gets going. And really, by the time the live show happens here for Scoop City on YouTube, we're gonna be doing it on Monday at 3:00 Eastern. A lot of this stuff's going to be done, which is crazy because, of course, the new league year doesn't start until 4:00 Eastern on Wednesday. But by Monday, a lot of these deals pretty much will be agreed upon, and the big names will most likely be off the board. I can't wait to see where Darnold's going to go in the end here because I'm telling you, it's like the little pebble in the pond.
We should know a lot of these QB spots by Tuesday, I'd imagine.
By Monday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. By Monday, 12 o'clock is when we can get moving on this. So we'll have plenty to discuss. For now, it's just fun to just talk about all the gossip out there. If you want to know some more gossip on any of these players that you actually really care about, or maybe your team and what they're looking into, put a question in the comments section on our YouTube page, or of course you can always tweet at me or Chase, and we'll try to answer them for you, either respond to you in that moment or talk about it next time on the show. So, all right, there's still so much to get to on Scoop City. Chase, I've got some breaking news for us right now. Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals has requested a trade. We've been talking about this.
You called it.
Well, we discussed how it is going to be very difficult for them to keep all three happy, and I know that they're working on the Jamar Chase and the T. Higgins contracts right now. So Trey was going to be the odd man out, and he knows that, hence the trade request. So let's get right into it after this break. All right, well, we've been asking the question for weeks now. How are the Bengals going to pay their 3 big dogs, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson? Well, it turns out they're probably not going to be able to do it all. So we now know that the Cincinnati Bengals have allowed Trey Hendrickson to speak with other teams. He met with members of the Bengals front office this morning to just figure out a plan of what direction is this going in, and ultimately decided he didn't want to be a Bengal anymore. Wow. And now he's going to go and see what the market is, and the Bengals are going to listen.
And he didn't want to be a Bengal because he didn't feel like they could pay Jamar, and himself market value, because he led the league in sacks last year, and he's been an absolute beast. I actually played with him in New Orleans. Thought he was a great player then. Like, the guy who wears no gloves is like one of the G's and one of the best pass rushers in the market. But do you think he just maybe felt that, and his agent felt that he was not the priority of the three? In fact, he was number 3 involved, and he said, you know what, let's go somewhere else to get fair market value.
He was the NFL's sack leader this past season. You think the Bengals defense, I mean, that's all I think of. I can't think of anyone else on that team in terms of who's such a force.
No,
and
not
so
on
if he's
defense,
not
no
feeling
way.
valued, and look, it's hard because you look at this from Mike Brown's perspective here and you're going, all right, you got the best wide receiver in football who deserves to be paid $40 million a year for what he's done, and he's that talented, in Jamar Chase. They're working on that deal. They're not there yet. They'll get that done. They've got T. Higgins, who they put through the ringer last year with the tag, and we know how that all went and how disgruntled and upset he was all season long. Whether you know about that or not, he was not happy all year. And players have their own ways of making everyone know that they're not happy too, with their playing, with their practice, with their attendance, all of that. And it was described to me as the owner said, I don't want to do that again. He deserves to be paid, and I want to make that a priority. So somebody had to be left out of the dance.
Yeah, and so this means two things for me. Like, one, T. Higgins is going to be a Cincinnati Bengal. And that's going to be at least like what I feel, right? I'm not saying anything.
They better get moving here.
But if let's be real. Now that they're going to grant the permission to trade one of the better defensive linemen in football, you are making room to sign T. Higgins. And I love that. Going to be interesting to see what that contract is. 28, 30, something like that. And that tells me that Joe Burrow has had a lot to say in this, because Joe Burrow has been very outspoken. I want both of my receivers. We need elite talent around Joe Burrow. Number 2, are the Bengals going to win games 45-40? Where the hell is their defense? What are they going to do? Because they couldn't stop anyone last year, and they got in shootouts last year, specifically with the Ravens, if you remember that game. They scored like 40 points and lost, and they scored a lot of those. It's like got to be like one of the... When you score 25 points or more this past season, I feel like they lost a lot of those games. And so it's just like, where's the defense? So those two things are the two things like that stick out to me.
And all we remember from last season was how Lou Anarumo lost his job because the roster wasn't good. And look, I'm sure he's responsible for some of that as well. But they need to get better there. They were not the Bengals we saw in the Super Bowl in terms of talent. And they're in a position where they had to choose, and making their quarterback happy appears to be what they chose here.
Wouldn't you want to make Joe Burrow happy too?
I would, but there's a lot of people in this league who think that they should have let T go. You pay Jamar, you pay Trey, and you keep him as your pillar of your defense.
Do you want to piss off your generational quarterback, and maybe he asks for a trade if you don't get that? I'm not saying he would, but like I just don't think you want to take that. But I agree. I mean, that it's going to be fascinating to see what they do defensively. Here's the next question for you. Where the hell does Trey Hendrickson go? Right. And is there a market?
Well, there's got to be a market.
Yeah.
It's Trey,
I mean, like, but like top dollar market, like Maxx Crosby market?
Well, the Maxx Crosby got the 3-year, the Maxx Crosby. I said it
like
a thing. The Max, got the Max. He got a 3-year extension worth $106.5 million. He is the highest paid non-quarterback in football. Congratulations to him, friend of Scoop City for sure. I gotta say though, they had to get that deal done. There were teams lurking, because I think if Max did not get that deal, I think this would have got a little messy.
Really? Like right away? Because he's made it known in the media and in his and everything that I heard him say he was in meetings with the owner, with Brady, with the head coach, with the GM, and he said, not I don't care about the plan for me, because I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get paid. What's the plan for our franchise? So for me, this tells me that the Brady effect is real, and that there is a plan in place to make the Raiders relevant again.
Yeah, and obviously the Raiders are smart by paying the most important person on that roster. You don't let a Maxx Crosby go.
He's a cornerstone piece.
Especially with so much in flux there as they're trying to sort it out. You need him for everything he does on the field, off the field, and everything, his makeup completely. But I wrote about it in my column on Saturday. Just the whole pass rush market is bazonkers right now, in a great way for them, right?
Yeah.
You got Micah Parsons. We're going to see Trey probably get a new deal here. Myles Garrett is going to get a new deal. You see Cleveland moving money around. Gosh. Certainly moving a lot of money around for someone. I wonder who that's for. But his side will tell you, this has nothing to do with money. I've heard people say that before. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt right now.
I think this is real with him. He wants to win a championship. He's won one playoff game in 8 or 9 years there.
What's like the guaranteed money you get from Cleveland that you're like, you know what, maybe I don't want to win.
They gave it all to Deshaun Watson.
True. So we'll see how this shakes out there, but I'm expecting all these guys to get paid and them to be sort of the best.
When does Micah get done? Later? Because that's how the Cowboys roll?
They're right. Isn't that funny? We just say it so nonchalantly now. Like, they'll get to it later. Conversations have started, so that's good. At least we're there. All right, so many questions to still be answered. And one of the biggest questions right now is what is happening with Brock Purdy's contract situation? We've got a couple thoughts and maybe some answers coming up next. We're also keeping an eye on the Brock Purdy situation in San Francisco. Remember I kept telling you this was going to be an easy one?
Yeah.
Nothing's easy. Did I not learn? Just
easy from whose standpoint, though? The San Francisco 49ers?
I think it's everybody.
Purdy?
I think everyone is looking at the situation as, Brock deserves top of the market kind of money because that's what the market says. I think the San Francisco 49ers are smart enough to go, well, no, you weren't like a first overall pick.
Do you think it's disrespectful? Because I read online, I don't even know if this is true or not, that...
You sound like my mom. I read it online.
Yeah, I mean, look, I honestly, I am so... I believe you, and I believe maybe like a few other people. Like, I just don't just believe everything, but there was something that came out that the starting offer was $45 million a year for Brock Purdy. Do you think that's disrespectful?
That would be disrespectful, and that did not happen.
Okay.
Wow. That's not true.
It didn't happen.
That did not.
Okay.
They did not offer 45 million.
And that's why I don't believe everything I hear.
I will bet my... I don't know I'll bet my phone on it. I was like, what do I have around here that I care about?
You know what's interesting, though, in the math that I saw, don't bet your phone. You love your phone too much, first of all. You know what I saw, though, and I sort of did some math, right? The San Francisco 49ers have some leverage here. And I want people to understand that, even though I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan, Brock's due $5 million this year. If he were to pay under the tag next year, it's 41. If he were to pay under the tag the following year, I think it's 52. So you're looking at $97 million over 3 years. Okay? Well, $50 million over 3 years is $150 million. That is a lot more money. They could have them for 3, but Dianna, from a team's perspective, they could have them for 3 more years.
I do believe the Niners have the
for
leverage
cheap.
What you're doing is you're setting the table for us of what this could be if San Francisco wanted to.
Exactly.
Do that. I don't think they will do that. I don't.
Okay.
I think they are going to get this deal done. I just don't think it's going to be as easy as I was expecting this to be. So we're going to have to just wait and see as they continue to negotiate. At least the conversations are going. I think sometimes when you start these negotiations, everybody comes in hot. Everyone's got an attitude about it. Everyone's got an idea of what they want. Yeah. Everyone wants to win it. Cooler heads prevail. Some time goes by, and conversations start to happen, right? Like, how many times have we seen this where,
a lot.
The coach starts talking to the quarterback, and, they start getting in his ear a little bit about, hey, look, you can make a lot of money outside of this contract if you stay here in San Francisco. We've got tons of ways for you to make more money. Kind of like we saw in New England with Tom Brady. And here's the thing with the San Francisco 49ers, Chase, I don't think they want to do what we saw happen last season, which was in the summer, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, drama, deals. They're not going to want that. So I feel good that they'll try to iron this out and get something done, and we'll start the season with Brock Purdy being a very well-paid quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. But still so much that we have to address. We hope you guys hang out with us on Monday. live on YouTube. Of course, we will also have our podcast ready for you like we normally do every Tuesday morning, but you can watch the show actually live on YouTube, 3 o'clock Eastern on Monday. It's going to be a free agency show, so I'm just warning you now. It's going to be a disaster in terms of just, no, I'll be a disaster. Chase is always wonderful and polished.
I'm chilling.
My phone's going to be ringing. I'm going to be taking notes. I'm going to be yelling at someone, probably screaming at someone in my house too, because they're distracting me. So we hope you guys hang out with us. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.